Well, hey everyone. Sorry we're a little bit late today. I just want to say thanks for joining this live stream to talk about how the events industry has responded to coronavirus. No one has ever said coronavirus, by the way, with such a happy inflection in their voice. But hey, that's the kind of the kind of people we are. So I'm Mark Thomas. I'm the co-founder of doopoll, which is a live survey tool. And we help businesses of all sizes to build audiences online and engage them with surveys. And today's a pretty special day for me because we're talking with Adam Parry. Adam's the co-founder and editor of the event industry's global magazine, Event Industry News. And we're talking about events, as you can imagine. Now, if you know anything at all about doopoll, you'll probably know that one of the main things that we've done and we've been really, really good at in the past is helping people engage their audiences at live events through live voting. And actually, today we're going to be looking at a live survey together. So you can open the survey on any device that you're working with. So you go to either doo.vote and then enter Adam Parry directly into the box in your browser. First time Adam's ever had a survey named after him. And and then the second way you can access this, if you are currently viewing on your desktop, is you can just hold up your phone's camera to the QR code right there, and you'll be able to join the poll live. So I'm going to introduce Adam now. Adam, hello, you're live.
Hello, mate. Thank you very much for brilliantly. I think I'm getting to that. Is it the 7-week itch, the 8-week itch now with the lockdown? Desperate to get back to an event, but I'm doing good.
I've run out of space on my wall for chalked etchings. I can't remember how long it's been. I'm just here with my best friend Wilson.
You'll have to tell everybody the movie reference there, because not everybody's seen that movie.
No, that's sure. From Castaway. Sorry, I can't actually grow a beard. This is my best facial hair. Otherwise, I'd have grown one like Tom Hanks does in that film as well.
He's a strong beard as well. Yeah, definitely.
He is. Yeah. Well, Adam, look, I've just got to start this, by the way, by saying it's been so funny for me and Adam. Actually, we've been having some problems with our live stream, and you may notice my sound is a little bit off today, and that's because I've just had a total nightmare with the sound settings. So apologies in advance, everyone, if this causes you any problems. But it's just so much funnier given that what we're talking about today and how the events industry is responding to this. So Adam, look, I know you've got.
Can I just add to that? So anybody that's out there that's currently watching this as an event organizer or anybody just trying to help with live events like this, right? You're not the only one that's having technical issues. Even the tech guys have technical issues. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat it.
No, it's been a learning experience, but I don't know. I just really enjoy this. So look, I know you've got a lot of stuff happening right now. I'm getting a lot of emails from Event Industry News, and they're all really interesting. Can you just give us a little summary of all of the stuff that you've got going on right now?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the highlight reel. So I've worked in the event sector now for over a decade, for about 15 years or something. Originally in publishing and working on a publication that was very much focused on the outdoor sector. Really at that time, I was of the generation that was coming up with Twitter, growing up with Twitter and Facebook and other things, and really loved technology. And that's where Event Industry News came from. We launched Event Industry News as a technology-led company to be able to get better insight onto our readers and what information they wanted, and also therefore provide a better information to our advertisers and sponsors on the ROI that we're getting. That keen interest in technology led me to selfishly write lots and lots of information about event tech. There wasn't much about at the time that I started. There was a few people. And once we started writing that content, we found that it was hugely interesting to the rest of our audience. That then again quickly led us to actually launch the Event Technology Awards, which is one of our events, to give suppliers like you, Mark, the recognition that they deserve for the technology that they're developing and the way that they are helping to transform events and have been for the last decade. That then again led us to I guess an influx of how we could connect up suppliers like you with those buyers, with those people that were keenly interested in taking that technology on themselves. And that is in the form of an event called Event Tech Live. It takes place in November each year. And the last edition had 5 stages of content for 2 days with about 2,500 visitors from 40 plus countries. And then our most recent kind of foray into events is an awards program again called the Sustainable Event Awards. Those awards are very much focused on how organisers, venues and suppliers are introducing new ways of working and making their events more sustainable, as well as more sustainable products. And funnily enough, before the pandemic all kicked off, it was very much our intention to actually host that. We actually launched that as a fully online virtual event from start to finish. And this was back at the beginning of the year. So our plans were kind of a little bit further back into 2019 around this. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell, really.
Oh, wow, there's a lot you've got going on there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, before we get into the kind of the bigger conversation, as I said, we've got a live poll open at the moment, and I just want to take a look at the first question from that now. We asked people in advance of this, but also you can take part live. There's the details on the bottom of the screen right there. We asked people whether they had postponed events due to coronavirus. And as you can see there, 86% of people said that they had. Now, Adam, I've got to ask you, the majority of people have said that's the case. I'd love to get your take on how big the impact has been to the event industry of this thing.
I guess it really depends on how wide you look at it. I think it probably runs into the trillions, and I've got no hard and fast figures. There are some reports and some information coming out from associations and others in the industry that are trying to track the impact. But the events industry is so wide, right? It's intertwined with hospitality, hotel bookings, travel. Freelancers make a huge proportion of the workforce that help manage and make events go on. There's obviously suppliers, organisers themselves. There's so many, connected businesses and industries to the events industry itself, and you can even go as far as weddings and smaller meetings and events, right, which need catering and that kind of stuff. So it's a guess. I'd love to come back with some hard and fast figures for your audience, but it wouldn't surprise me if already and for the foreseeable future it's running into huge figures, trillions potential of economic impact and business impact.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty significant, eh? Even a kind of a guesstimate there is pretty scary. And hey, let's face it, data's often like that. But yeah. Well, look, anytime a disaster creates a new landscape, and look, frankly, coronavirus is a disaster for everyone. I think that there are 2 ways that people respond. Or I categorize things in 2 ways. So the first way that I categorize things is with tired responses, and the second way is with wired responses. So let me give you an example here. So tired ideas are really the kind of bog standard stuff. So an example would be somebody in this case who just looked at their event schedule and went, "Oh, cool, we'll just postpone all of that till next year," or maybe not cool. Maybe they freaked out first, but they just postponed everything. The second way is wired. So a wired idea would be something like totally reimagining the format, and then for example, taking their event online in a totally new format. I got to ask you, what trends are you seeing that people are kind of participating in as part of their response to COVID-19? Some tired and wired ideas would be amazing, just to validate my theory.
I guess what I'm seeing is, lots of people trying to get a grasp of how they can keep up connected up to with their community right now. Some people are utilizing platforms like this, like live streaming, as a way to push content out there. and connect up with their audience and keep their customers informed, because there's a huge knowledge gap now that events present, or the way that events kind of connect up with people. Others are trying to help support their exhibitors and sponsors by producing content and events online that still allow some of that business networking, kind of communication, etc., to happen. And there's some great platforms that have been around for a while and sprung up, and some new ones. But I think that's really where people are at. Attention's kind of now moving a little bit more towards what does the new normal look like when events come back. So a lot of focus is already shifting now that we've had some news about timescales around potential alleviation of social distancing over the next few months, of like, what does my event look like now? Is it a reduced attendance? Do we need to put things in place to make people feel safe when they're actually attending that event? And what else can be done to recoup some of that money and some of that revenue that might have been lost? So that's what I'm personally seeing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a pretty good summary of the stuff that our customers are doing as well. I think it's really interesting because we've got a really diverse customer base. So we've got everyone from people who are doing literally kind of customer success stuff into all the way up to people who are doing pretty big kind of event stuff. And I find that really fascinating. So look, I can see here that Adam's video is frozen, unfortunately. So I'm going to just carry on with Adam's audio. It turns out Adam can't hear me either. So this is a real great example of what's happening with event technology at the moment. Look, we're also looking at this live poll, and we also ask people if they're planning for changes because of this crisis. And we can see there that a majority of people have said that they're making immediate changes and planning for post-crisis. So look, Adam, I'd love to talk to you about what are the key things to think about when talking about planning events post-crisis. And I'm just, you can't see this, guys, but I'm typing to Adam as we're going. And
so interestingly, what are some of the key things about that people need to think about when planning events post-crisis? I think one of the most interesting things, or one of the things that I would focus on, is how do you encourage those visitors back to your event, and how do they feel about doing that? Do they feel? How can you make them feel safe? There is a lot of work already done around events that make those attendees safe. Health and safety is critical and a big part of any event, right? So now what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to increase the level of health and safety and the level of protection we put around attendees. Some of the things I'm seeing are such things as organisers looking at contact tracing so they can better inform their audience should there be a risk or potential infection. Lots of obviously clearly hand sanitizing units and cleanliness around events. But also some new technologies around heat tracing, cameras that detect the temperature of people, so they can make sure that if there is potential people coming into the venue, that they can stop them at that. And yeah, that's a few of the things that I'm seeing.
Okay, well, I just want to take a question here from the audience, which is kind of really interesting to me. So I'd love to get your opinion here, Adam, on this question. So you could see it in your chat there, hopefully. But we're actually having crazy problems right now. So sorry about this, everyone.
I see a hybrid solution going forward, right? We've actually, what's happened with the coronavirus, which I'm sure nobody would really want, is actually it's given a lot of companies time to look at what their events might look like going forward, which means that they've had a great opportunity to look into technology and have a look at what that technology might mean for them. And probably it's afforded them the time that they didn't have before because they were so busy planning and delivering events, right? Now, for me as a publisher, one of the most interesting things about, I suppose, hybrid events is it allows you to reach such a bigger audience. Let's say your event is here in London in the UK. You've got travel, you've got cost of travel, hotels. Maybe that person's really time strapped, but they want to engage with your content and your community, right? Like providing a hybrid event creates so much more inclusivity for those people. Then there's, people that might be fearful now around infection. There might be people who are physically unwell and unable to make an event, and you can actually include them. And, a hybrid world also presents a much greener environment and a greener world. There's no denying, the events industry is the thread that pins every other industry around. There's an event and exhibition for every sector, whether it's car manufacturing, food, stamps, steel, you name it. There's an industry event for it, or probably multiple of those. So it's really important that these things go along and happen to make business happen and to make connection happen. But there's going to be so many people that don't come to your event, and even if they do, the impact of that has on our world, we should be really aware of that. So there's a green and sustainability element that hybrid events will allow to bring into it as well. And I think that's one of the benefits of a hybrid future. There's no doubt that face-to-face events aren't going anywhere. There's just stuff that you can't replace online, like the serendipity of meeting somebody in a conference venue or connecting it with people. There's no atmosphere, let's face it. So when it comes to like concerts and tours, there's no backline, there's no buzz when you kind of go into a stadium and things like that. And the same with sporting events, right? So there's never ever going to be a replacement for face-to-face events. I think just hybrid events will enhance the overall value proposition to the community that you have.
I think I just want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that, actually, because we're seeing obviously a lot of kind of innovative event formats come out of this, and I can totally get the stuff that you're saying about the kind of the physical events not going away. But a question that I really have is, what are some ways that you're seeing people in the events industry create innovative event formats, particularly for online?
So I think only being able to create online events has actually, really got the creative juices going with event producers. I tweeted not so long ago about can we kill off the word webinar, because I think that really instills this bad vibe, this bad experience of what an online event can be, right? And it really comes down to what are you trying to achieve. I've seen really good formats around online exhibitions. There's some great kind of 360-degree, almost computer-generated environments out there that kind of allow people to walk around a trade show. So that's one thing. But when it actually comes back to it, I think most people are focused on the presentation as the engagement piece, right? And I'm going to give a shout out to somebody, a gentleman called Brian Fanzo, who he's a leader in this already, right? If you want to kind of look at how you can encourage your speakers to make more engaging sessions, he's a great resource to go to. He's doing things with Prezi, with 360-degree video, cutaways, overlays. The content is actually next to him in the video rather than him, being in front of him and he being a little kind of like video icon in the top right-hand corner, which I'm sure we've all kind of run out of steam with those kind of presentations already. So for me, that kind of presentation format and changing up that way of doing things is really good. And then we recently held an online event just yesterday, actually, at 4:00 for the founders of event technology companies. And our format went very quickly into brief introduction and opening up from me and the other moderators, straight into getting other attendees involved in sharing their ideas, their thought process, their experience, and making it a much more inclusive, collaborative event rather than just the talking head style. So those are some of the formats that I think are really working. Q&A formats like this are great, especially if you're giving the audience the opportunity to fire those questions in and get their questions answered, right? Because that's what they're here for. They've got some burning questions. They want to have the answers, and expert comment on those kind of things are fantastic.
Okay, yeah, I think that's great. And like Adam, I want to just say thank you for your time today. It's been really good. I'm going to wrap it up in a second here. I just want to apologize to everyone there for the technical difficulties that we had. The other thing I want to do before we leave is I want to give a shout out to a competition that we're running. So one competition that we've just started running is that we're giving away a series of the best business books for growing your business online. So you need to go to the doopoll blog. That's doopoll.co/blog, and you can see it right there. You just scroll down, and if you want to, you can enter below. There's a little link there. Guys, I want to say thank you for your time. Adam, it's been fantastic having you, and we're gonna take a little break from live streaming, but we're gonna come back with an even better, bigger program. To get updates about that, sign up on our blog, which I've just shown you, doopoll.co/blog. So I'll just say this to say goodbye. If you're interested in learning more about doopoll, then you can visit doopoll.co to get started. Okay, thanks guys. Take care. Bye.